November 19th marks the release of Battlefield 2042, a new installment in one of the most popular multiplayer franchises of all time. Now, no matter how good or bad it is, people are going to play it. Let's see how they got there. Hi, this is Hello Arcade and the evolution of the Battlefield series. Battlefield 1942, a successful first-person shooter debut for DICE. This was the first multiplayer game that allowed up to 64 players and vehicles to fight on the same map. In the age of Counter-Strike and Quake, it looked unbelievable. Battlefield Vietnam, the improved version of the first game with an expanded arsenal, more equipment, and bigger maps. DICE began to experiment with the setting. Now the trenches of World War II were replaced by a Vietnamese jungle. Also, kudos to DICE for the soundtrack. Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries was very much on point. Battlefield 2. The second breakthrough game in the Battlefield series, the developers changed the setting once again, added the squad system, and introduced commanders who coordinated the game on the map. DICE tried to make the gameplay more cooperative and keep the chaos that reigned on the big maps in check. Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. The first Battlefield for consoles, this game was very different from its predecessors. For the first time, it was focused on the single-player campaign, while the multiplayer only had 2 modes for up to 24 players. Battlefield 2142. This time, DICE went into the future. So the sci-fi setting allowed the developers to create one of the series' most unusual modes, Titan. In it, the players fought until the total destruction of a flying enemy base during 2 stages of air and land combat. Battlefield Bad Company. This was the third breakthrough for DICE. Bad Company won you over with 2 things. First was the plot that managed to mix war and humor. Second was the new engine called Frostbite that allowed for what seemed like complete destruction at the time. And we're willing to turn a blind eye to the multiplayer only allowing up to 24 players. Battlefield Heroes. While attempting to capitalize on the growing trend of free-to-play, Electronic Arts released a version of Battlefield for a casual player. It was Team Fortress 2 with a different name and vehicles. But the community did not appreciate the amount of microtransactions. The official servers were shut down in 2015. Battlefield 1943. It's hard to even call this a proper game. Battlefield 1943 was a Frostbite tech demo set in World War II. It only had 2 game modes, 3 classes, and 4 maps, and no progression whatsoever. It did, however, have one new feature, the Air Superiority mode, which took Battlefield into the sky. Battlefield Bad Company 2. One of the best games in the series. There was less humor in the plot, but the multiplayer got even better despite the fact that it only supported up to 32 players. There was more destructibility, better shooting, and improved graphics, and in 2010 it did not get any better than this. Battlefield Play for Free. If Heroes was at least playable, this game feels like a bad joke. It used the Battlefield 2 engine, was trying to be like Bad Company 2, and it felt like a lifeless knockoff. Shut down in 2015 as well. Battlefield 3. Okay, the game changer in the Battlefield series. The new Frostbite 2 engine ensured the best graphics and physics on the market. In terms of the gameplay, it managed to be diverse and appeal to all types of players. Those who loved intense, fast-paced shooting had Operation Metro, while the tankmen and the pilots resided at the Caspian border. Battlefield 3 was so good that even the new Battlefield 2042 gets compared to it all the time. By the way, Battlefield 3 turned 10 this October. 10 years. Can you believe it? Battlefield 4. DICE decided there was no need to reinvent the wheel. There was little new about the game. Frostbite 3, that's hardly any different from its predecessor, and Commander Mode taken right out of Battlefield 2 and allowing one player to coordinate the actions of their squad on the map. Problematic start, riddled with bugs, and the lack of content and complete recovery over time. In case you want a modern Battlefield but don't like 2042, Battlefield 4 is still going strong. Battlefield Hardline. One of the most unorthodox games in the series made by Visceral Games, the creators of Dead Space. It's a Battlefield game about a fight between cops and criminals in sunny Miami. It had some new mechanics and 5 unique multiplayer modes. In Blood Money, for example, you need to rob a bank and make an escape. It's kind of like Payday, except you're playing against real people. Battlefield 1. DICE made a bold experiment and transported the players into the World War I setting, and somehow they managed to keep Battlefield's dynamics and scale even with the somewhat limited choice of guns and vehicles. There were also new features. Huge behemoth vehicles are given to the losing team to try and turn the tides in the end of the round, and the Operations mode, which combines several maps in a sequence.
Come on, take it.
Battlefield 5. If you can forget about the backlash against the lack of historical accuracy, tons of bugs, and the poor start, the game wasn't all bad. It's still one of the best looking shooters on the market. They added a fortification system to the traditional Frostbite destructibility. The game added in-squad play as well. Now the commander had more functions, while the supporting roles became more useful. However, the game lacked in content, never delivered the most iconic maps, and was left for dead by EA just over a year into its life cycle. We also kinda missed the behemoths from the previous game. Battlefield 2042. The new Battlefield game just released, and you know what? Currently it's not great. There's the bugs and the overall lack of direction and polish. The 7 maps available at the start mostly feel too big and empty despite having up to 128 players. The game doesn't have a lot of weapons, but has randomized bullet spread. The new operator system killed whatever was left of squad play. Now every player can assemble a universal soldier with a medkit and explosive missiles and go about their business. The new Hazard Zone mode, a nod to Hunt Showdown, turned out to be pretty bland. The bots are weak and the maps are too big and feel empty. And most importantly, they really messed up the progression. Only Portal turned out fine, and only because it borrows content from the previous successful games. Hey, perhaps DICE will polish the game like they did with Battlefield 4, but the bumpy release will stay with it forever. This has been Hello Arcade and the evolution of the Battlefield series. Tell us in the comments about your favorite Battlefield game and your expectations for 2042. Hit the like, ring the bell. We'll see you in the next video.